real estate enthusiast. So I am coming in today to talk to you a little bit about commercial wholesaling. So as you are looking for properties to purchase, or coming across different deals, you are going to be talking to quite a few other investors who own properties, obviously, or just individual ma and pa sellers looking to sell properties. And so you as an investor have your criteria of what you're looking for, of what you want to actually buy and keep for yourself to expand your portfolio. Well, you want to capture all of your time spent and actually try to monetize as much as possible. So wholesaling is an amazing tool to use. Obviously, every state is different. Make sure that you understand the legalities of the state that you're in. I'm located in Texas, and so wholesaling is a really strong avenue for a lot of investors to take to be able to, capture all of their leads and provide an opportunity for other investors so they don't lose a monetary opportunity. So wholesaling, if you're unfamiliar with, it's basically getting a property under contract with a seller. So you agree on the terms, you've toured the property, you have photos of it, kind of done a pre-inspection, you understand like the bid involved to, get it up to whatever the market value is. You understand the market in the surrounding area. And it just doesn't align with your professional portfolio. And so now you have an opportunity where you've done all this due diligence, you have a relationship with the seller, and so now you can actually take that property and just market it to other investors. So, and obviously you just add a fee on top of it. And so depending on what you were able to negotiate with the seller depends on what type of fee you can add as a wholesale fee when you go to sell to an end party. So a couple of things that I want to point out that you want to be really, really, really careful about. So first, I am going to say privacy. Privacy is a huge piece of wholesaling it because you are working directly with the seller. So you are solely responsible for any and all information that they have provided you. Do not readily give that away to people. One, it is not your information to give. And two, privacy matters. So I'm going to put up here privacy. So how do we do that? One way is you can kind of create, through networking and everything, you can create your own database. And so you can have your own investor pool of people that you email out deals to. So that's one way to maintain privacy, is you just kind of keep it within a circle of people. You might already have like a one-on-one relationship with them, and hey, any information that goes out stays within this circle. If you have like a large database, or you have people in your database that you don't know on a personal basis, then you can send out general information about a deal to see if anyone appeals to this particular investment. And if anyone is interested, then you make sure that they sign an NDA. This is huge, and you should do this for any and all commercial properties. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. And so every single party that you're sending information to, they are legally agreeing to not share that information with anyone, to only be using the information you are providing to do the due diligence that they need to see if it's a property that fits within their investment goals and their portfolio, and they're only doing it in-house to view the property for the financials and everything to make a decision on whether or not they want to close on the property. So by getting them to sign an NDA, they cannot market the property. They cannot forward it on to somebody else. They cannot provide that. If they have a team of people, they can't just start sending it to anyone and everyone. So this is a really strong piece. I love to do this because you are going to weed out individuals. If anyone fights you on an NDA, you do not want to send them any information because they are trying to do something with that information that they should not be doing. So an NDA is very common. And if anyone says, I don't want to sign that, or I'm not going to sign anything, then just say that's nice and move on to the next person, because you don't want to work with people who are not going to maintain privacy, ethics, and a certain morals in business. And so an NDA is a very common trait. And so it should be utilized in every single one of your transactions. In addition to privacy and NDA, never actually send any personal information. So do not send any tenant information. Do not send any tenant information or seller's information. Do not send any tenant information or seller's information. It is not up to you to give out the seller's phone number or the seller's bank statements or the tenant's lease or anything like that. So when you have a property that you're going to be providing people, privacy is key. If anyone's interested in the property, they are going to send you a signed NDA. When they send you a signed NDA, you are then going to only send them the market analysis, the financial, some profit and loss statements that have no personal information whatsoever on the seller or the tenants. Okay, so you really need to go through and make sure all of that information is taken out, because even though there's an NDA in place, there's some information you just do not give out. As you're progressing and moving forward and you actually have a contract with an end buyer, that changes things. So you have an NDA and you have a signed contract going to close. That's when certain information can start being relayed, but you don't necessarily have to. So depending on the bank, there's some information that the banks require to be able to lend on a property. And so in some situations, you can send the bank directly information that they need. But usually at this point, if you're not going to trust them, you should work with them anyway. So usually at this point, if they've signed an NDA, you have a contract for them to be the end buyer, you are now in a position where you can start sending over information, and so they can actually get their company getting it ready to close and actually take over. So at that point, they do need, they don't need the bank account information, but at that point, they do need more tenant information so they can start building their database and planning to take over the property. So again, you don't have to do it that way, but if you don't trust the end buyer to provide that information, then you probably should readjust who you're actually selling it to in the first place. So another thing with wholesaling, you need to make sure that you have all the financials. So if you have a property and you're getting ready to wholesale it, you have to be able to answer the questions that end buyers are going to ask. So what would you need to be able to close on a property? And make sure that you have a rapport with the seller, that you can actually get the information required to be able to close on a property. You are still involved. So even though a wholesale is technically basically selling up a contract, you still have the obligation as the wholesaler to provide everything that end buyer is going to need to be able to close on that property. So yes, you are selling the assignment of the contract, but it also is your obligation to make sure that they have all the financials that they need. They understand, you know, maybe the zoning or the location of the facility. They understand all of the repairs and what it's going to take to get to market pro forma rents. So you are the middleman. I mean, you are technically acting similar to what a real estate agent would do. And so you are providing that third party interaction between the seller and the end buyer. And you always want to be that person. You never want to connect to the seller and the end buyer, because then you're kind of out of that situation. So, sorry about that. So just keep that in mind, that even though you get an end buyer, you are still with them along the way until close of that contract. So make sure that you do that, because reputation is the last one I'm going to bring up here. Real estate is, you know, it keeps changing. Some areas are highly competitive. Some areas might not be as competitive, but it's a very small circle. We actually are wholesaling one of our first storage facilities currently, and I spoke to a couple of investors, and in these forums, people know each other. You know, they might not have ever met, but people talk and they know each other, and they know who's actually like buying and closing on the properties. They know the wholesalers that are coming and bringing deals. So people talk, and so you want to make sure that you are showing up professionally. You're providing them the information that you would want as an investor to close on a property. You want to treat the people like you would like to be treated if you were the one going to close. So, and I can't emphasize this enough to make sure that this is getting done, because we have blacklisted so many wholesalers for the simplest of things. So wholesaling is like hugely based upon reputation. So as you're going into something, please do not say, okay, I'm not going to buy this property at $500,000, but I'm going to sell it to somebody else for $800,000 and I'm going to make $300,000. There's always a possibility that you could sell it for $800,000, but that might be market rate. And if you're getting a lot of pushback from people that, they're like, you're kind of asking for like market price as a wholesaler, and you're not leaving anything on the table for that end buyer. So yes, someone eventually might buy it or someone might not. If it's not going quickly, there's obviously something wrong with the numbers or information you're providing like in this market. And so I just encourage you to kind of just really look at how you want to be represented, how you want people to, know your name and know your company. Are you a fair and honest wholesaler that is providing accurate market information and that is actually going to work with your end buyers throughout? Or are you just trying to get the most out of it whatsoever so investors are going to scrape by for the next 5 years because you've captured all the equity? And they're getting it because they want some tax benefits and, they might have a system in place. But even if someone closes on it, you are then kind of titled that person that cares more about the money. And you know what? They might not buy next time. They might not buy initially. Or you might have that deal sitting there for a really long time and maybe the sellers pull out because you just wanted so much up front. So I encourage you to, as you're wholesaling deals and looking at numbers, remember reputation first. Because that is if you're going to stay in the business for the long haul. And most wholesalers, if you do it right, as you wholesale, then you then become an investor and you can partner with the people that you work with. And so as you show up honestly and fair, and you make your money, you want to make sure that you're making sure that you are making your money off of your deals. You're working hard for it, but you're leaving some equity on the table for the next guy. People will save your information and people will come back to you and people might partner with you and it will massively help out your company moving forward. If you actually focus on people and reputation above all else. So again, quickly just kind of recap, as you're wholesaling, privacy, make sure you're representing that seller. And so you need to put privacy above all else. Privacy and getting an NDA for any investors that are interested to make sure that they also are saying that they will put privacy first as well. Do not send any tenant or seller information, even with an NDA in place, at least initially, as you're sending out information for investors to do their initial due diligence. Financials, make sure that you are having those tough conversations with the sellers and you're working with them to try to organize their financials as much as possible and getting their bank statements and their P&Ls for the last like 2 or 3 years and their taxes and everything. So you can actually provide that and have a clean close at the end. And then your reputation. Again, just making sure that people know that you care about the deal, you care about the people involved. Everyone's going to win. Everyone's going to make money. As a wholesaler, you can make a lot of money. So just make sure that you're not trying to make all of your money in one deal, because that is not the type of business we're in. Real estate is a people business, and not many people realize that. Real estate is actually a people business. So as you remember that, moving forward, you will have wild success. So again, as you're coming across deals, do not push them away because they don't fit within your investment portfolio. Keep them, work on them, and then just market them as a wholesale property. And so you can kind of keep some income flowing in as you're looking for that long-term investment. So then you can be a little bit more picky of what you actually keep with your portfolio so you can have true success on both sides. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck with wholesaling, and I'd love to break it down a little more for you guys if you need. Again, comment below anything you guys need assistance with. Otherwise, stay tuned for my next video.